We want to continue to focus on this insurance crisis that will no doubt be played out right now. I want to bring in our next guest to help break this down. California insurance claims expert. This is Chip Merlin. Thanks so much for joining us, Chip. Great to be with you. And I know it's just a very terrible time out there in California. Our first question is, I know so many people are going to be talking about these insurance policies, these claims. My question, I think a lot of people are wondering, for the people that are seeing their homes right now in rubble, what are the really the first things that they should be doing right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, most of the time I would tell you, go report your insurance claim to your agent, go read your insurance policy. But if your house or your business has just been burnt to the ground, that insurance policy probably got burnt up as well. So you're going to also have to be asking your insurance agent to get the insurance policy. The question to the insurance agent, you know, who's going to be coming to take care of the adjustment of the house? How soon can I expect to get additional monies for additional living expense? And if you're a business, where I might be able to go to reopen on a temporary basis.
Yeah, that's really good insight there as well. And I think a lot of people are wondering too, in this situation, when you look at maybe people, if they've been in their homes maybe 10, 15 years and they've had their policy, maybe haven't updated it as much, what happens in those situations when maybe they've made some upgrades to their home? They won't necessarily get those upgrades back, will they?
No, that's a great question. And it's unfortunate that people don't have a better relationship with their insurance agent. And I get it. Most people hear insurance agent, they go screaming somewhere else because that's the last thing that last person they might want to talk to. But the truth is, by keeping up on the evaluations, you keep from being underinsured. And if you have not upgraded your insurance, you should do so. And this is for everybody listening. Construction prices have outdone all the rest of the inflation, and they've gone up significantly in the last 5 years. Everybody needs to be keeping up with the value to fully replace the building. And most of the time, and unfortunately, statistics are about 80% of everybody is underinsured at least, and this is a very high statistic, 40%. You know, so that means you're not going to have enough money to get rebuilt. And so it's very important to get full replacement costs. And then when you have a major destruction in a community like this afterwards, the prices go up right away. Get a little bit additional guaranteed replacement costs just for these types of circumstances.
Yeah, those are all great points there, Chip, because I think a lot of people, they look at, okay, they look on Zillow, they look on other sites and they say, wow, my home's worth, 700, maybe 800, whatever. They think they'll probably get that check. They won't.
No, you're not going to get that check right away. And as a matter of fact, the value of your land and your property, the real estate market value, has nothing to do with the amount that you should be insuring the structure for. You should be looking at what's the replacement cost value. You've had to build it back up from $1 to replace it. And that's unfortunately what a lot of these and our brothers and sisters have just had this unfortunate tragedy happen to them. And you've got to keep up on content. You got to keep up on, if it's an older home, you asked about an older home. The codes have changed a lot because, and in part, California's been adopting new codes to make structures more resilient to wildfires so that we won't have these types of things happening again. So, people ask me all the time, and I know it's difficult to do, but if you'll spend a little bit of time with a real life insurance agent, not just on the internet, but trust a real professional that gets to know a little bit about your lifestyle, a little bit about your home, get to that right, price with respect to getting it fully covered. And I just know most people don't like to do it because who wants to talk about spending money? Most people don't want to talk about insurance. You only really know what you bought after you have a disaster like this.
No, that's true. And do you think in a situation like this, that's so unfortunate, that's what's happening there, but not only in California now going forward, but because this is a national story, really international as well, but here in the country, do you think people will see this coverage and say to themselves, okay, maybe we should call and see what our policy is?
I hope so. I mean, the truth of the matter is we have floods that are happening all over. If you're by a river or you're by an ocean, We have hurricanes. We're having huge hailstorms. We're having freeze damage claims. We have earthquakes, and now wildfires in the Great West that we're having on a very regular basis, all because of climate change. And all of us need to really seriously take a look at the insurance coverage we've got. Most of the time, there's no loss and things go by just perfectly. But when the loss happens, the type of insurance coverage you bought, who you bought it from, is extraordinarily important. Most of us don't want to talk about it, but truly it's a very important product.
Yeah, that's so true. Chip, I want to move to another major headline. Talking about State Farm reportedly dropped 72,000 fire insurance policies back in 2024, including about 1,600 policies in Pacific Palisades, which were dropped by State Farm back in July. Can you talk about why an insurance company would drop someone and what they can do if that happens to them?
Well, I've often said, and this is from the policyholder standpoint, insurance companies want to take the sure bet, the loss that never happens. They'd insure you if you wanted to insure the Brooklyn Bridge because you would never be able to collect on a loss from the Brooklyn Bridge. But the truth of the matter is there's a battle that's going on in most of the states between many of the larger insurance carriers, including State Farm, regarding what an appropriate rate ought to be, and then what the insurance commissioners and consumers think the appropriate rate ought to be. There's been, and this is not just isolated to California, this goes on throughout the United States. One of the leveraging facts that many of the major carriers that have had large market shares in the past have used is that, well, if you don't agree with us and you don't raise the rate as much as we're looking for, we're just going to go ahead and leave. Oh, but we're just going to leave the property insurance market. We're still going to insure your car. We still want your life insurance. And I think the states are starting to catch on that this type of leverage isn't quite right. And I think the dialogue needs to change. It doesn't mean insurance companies should be, losing money and be forced to lose money. Obviously, that's not the case. They're making plenty of money in most states. They're just not making as much as what they want. But that's a debate that's going to continue for a pretty long time as consumers want to pay one thing, insurance companies want to make more profit, quite frankly, in the future, and for sure profit.
No. That's right. And Chip, can you also explain what this process is going to look like for people that went through just hell in the last couple of days, noticing and feeling that pain of losing their home? How long is this process going to take from what they see right now that's on the ground into whenever they can rebuild a home or get money to do whatever they want to for next? How long does that look like? What does the timeline look like?
A lot longer than what you think. I often tell people that are faced like this, the first thing to get a hold of, and for everybody who's, if you have a friend or a loved one, they need some emotional support. And it's not just a minor thing. Statistics are, and these after large catastrophes, there's a higher incidence of drug use, divorce, criminal activity from people that would never be doing this because people are trying to cope with the loss of everything that they've got. Most of us, especially for our homes, we have all of our memories tied up in there, our photographs, everything, and all the things that we've collected. And now you have to go back, recount all those things to make your insurance claim. It is an endeavor that it takes a large emotional toll that I've seen thousands of times in my career. And I truly, people should be reaching out, getting professional help. They should know that there's counselors out there. Don't be embarrassed about it. I really do think people's mental well-being afterwards is at risk for this because the truth of the matter, if your home burns down and you're in a neighborhood like this, 10,000 structures, it's going to take a while to find that many contractors to go out to get everything fixed. Typically, it takes 2-3 years. There's areas I've been back up to in Northern California that's had this go through. Even in Malibu, some of my clients just had their homes completely rebuilt last year. Now they're concerned they're going to get fire damaged again. So not for everybody a quick process, and it takes the better part in a community a decade sometimes to get completely rebuilt.
Yeah, that's so true. Chip, also, I think a lot of people want to know this answer to this question. What happens if a person, okay, their home is destroyed and, they're in this community neighborhood where everything else is destroyed around them? Do they have to rebuild there, or could they go somewhere else with the money when they eventually get it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the truth of the matter is most insurance policies allow you to rebuild anywhere you want. And you don't have to rebuild back there. You can take that same amount of money and go rebuild somewhere else and still get your replacement costs rebuilding somewhere else. every insurance policy is different, but I'd say about 95% of them allow you to rebuild, not on that location, but somewhere else, so long as it's back to rebuilding a home for a home and a business for a business. You can go use that money anywhere you want. Um, and unfortunately, there's some communities that never get rebuilt, just because of that. The community afterward, and these are for policy leaders, should very quickly, I mean, now, today, tomorrow, start getting other people that are committed to the community about what are we going to do, to rebuild our community, to rebuild it back better, to rebuild it back more resilient so this will never happen again, so that our neighbors, our brothers and sisters will want to move back here and we have a thriving neighborhood, maybe better than it was before. There are other areas in the country that have done this. FEMA has a great dialogue how to do this. Colorado Springs did it after their wildfires as well. So there is some history that we can copy from that.
All right, Chip Merlin, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox. Great conversation, and I know these questions will continue to be coming for so many out there in Southern California. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
You take care.